therefore move that with this amendment, the House pass this bill entitled the Environment Protection Agency Act 2021 through committee stage, third reading, and into law. Thank you for your attention. Signed, Honorable Abdul Suliaman Marah-Conteh, Chairman of
the Honorable Member, Chairman of the Legislative Committee. I honestly believe, Honorable Members, that it deserves more results than you give us. His job, I'm sure you'll all agree, his job is a very tedious, laborious one, and requires his undivided attention, devotion, and focus. I don't know how many of you, if you were given the opportunity, would have the time, the resources, the energy to devote to the legislative committee as he does. So let's give him another round. I am certainly not a member of this constituency, but if I were, and I think it bears some say in the run-up to 2023. If I have any sway in that constituency, he's the kind of member of parliament that I would like to see return to this house.
Protection Agency Act 2021.
Sixth, report of the Legislative Committee, 4th session of the 5th Parliament on the Second Republic of Sierra Leone on the bill entitled the Environment Protection Agency Act 2021, presented to Parliament on Tuesday, 2nd November 2021. Introduction. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I rise to present the 6th report of the Legislative Committee, 4th session of the 5th Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone on the bill entitled the Environment Protection Agency Act 2021, being an act to provide for the continuation of the Sierra Leone Environment Protection Agency to provide for more effective and efficient protection and management of the environment and to provide for other related matters. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, the bill having gone through the second reading was committed to the Legislative Committee for scrutiny pursuant to Standing Order 51-1. Subsequently, the committee met on Tuesday 23rd and Monday 29 November 2021 in Committee Room Number 1 of the Parliament building with the following objectives: to scrutinize in detail the principles and provisions of the bill and to make amendments if necessary, to ascertain the constitutional and legal implications contained therein, to report to plenary for consideration by the Committee of the Rollouts in line with SO 53. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, in attendance we are members of the Legislative Committee, the Chairman of the Environment Committee, other interested members of Parliament, the Minister of Environment, the Deputy Minister of Environment, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, and other senior members of the Committee. Recommendations. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, the Legislative Committee, having scrutinized the bill line by line, clause by clause, recommends the following amendments to the House for approval. The short title, Environment Protection Agency Act 2022, be approved. The long title of the bill, being an act to provide for the continuation of the Sierra Leone Environment Protection Agency to provide for more effective and efficient protection and management of the environment and to provide for the other related matters, be approved. Part 1, preliminary. Clause 1, interpretation. The definition of agency be amended by deleting the phrase Sierra Leone after the word "the" and before the word environment, and inserting the phrase in Sierra Leone after the word agency and before the word refer. To now read, agency means the Environment Protection Agency in Sierra Leone referred to in section 2. Clause 1, interpretation. The definition of controlled substance be amended by inserting the phrase hydrochlorofluorocarbons, HCFCs, and hydrofluorocarbons, HCFCs after the word virgin and before the word recovered. To now read, controlled substance includes chlorofluorocarbons, other fully halogenated chlorofluorocarbons, halon, carbon, tetrachloride, 111, trichloroethene, methyl bromide, whether they are virgin hydrofluorocarbons, HCFCs, and other hydrofluorocarbons, HFCs recovered, recycled, or reclaimed, but do not include any controlled substance. Clause 1, interpretation, be amended by deleting the entire definition of National Telecommunication Commission. Clause 1, interpretation, be amended by inserting the definition of permit after the definition of Paris Agreement and before the definition of Petroleum Regulatory Agency. To read, permit means a permit granted by the agency in accordance with the Act or the regulations made hereon. Clause 1, interpretation, the definition of pollution be amended by inserting the pronoun it after the word that and before the word is, and also inserting the phrase and human health after the word environment and before the word or. To now read, pollution means natural, man-made, or man-aided alteration of the chemical or biological quality of the chemical, physical, or biological quality of the environment to the extent that it is detrimental to the environment and human health or beyond acceptable limits. Clause 1, interpretation, be amended by inserting a definition of wetlands after the definition of waters of Sierra Leone. To read, wetlands means areas permanently or seasonally flooded by water where plants and animals have adapted. Part 2, continuation of Environment Protection Agency. Clause 2, subclause 3, continuation of Environment Protection Agency, be amended by deleting the entire subclause 2(3) and replacing it with, the agency shall have a common seal, the use of which shall be authenticated by the signatures of the chairman of the board and the executive director or any other member of the board designated in that behalf by the board. Clause 3, subclause 2, Board of Agency, be amended by deleting the letter A after the word of and before the word chairman and inserting the words an executive and also inserting the phrase the head of the agency and after the word B and before the letter A. To now read, the board shall consist of an executive chairman. He shall be the head of the agency and a person who has considerable knowledge and experience in environmental matters and the following other matters. Clause 3, subclause 2A, Roman figure 2, Board of Agency, be amended by inserting the phrase mines and after the word of and before the word mineral. To read, the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources. Clause 3, subclause 2A, 2A, Roman figure 13, Board of Agency, be amended by replacing the phrase the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources with the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Culture Planning. Clause 3, subclause 2A, Board of Agency, be amended by inserting a new Roman number 14 to read, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Clause 3, subclause 2D, Board of Agency, be amended by replacing the number 3 before the word persons with number 2. Clause 3, subclause 2, Board of Agency, be amended by inserting a new E to read, 2 representatives from civil society with knowledge and experience in environmental matters. Clause 3, subclause 2, Board of Agency, previously subclause 2E, be amended to be 2F. The new 2F be amended by replacing the word executive with the word chief after the word the and after the word director, and also inserting without voting rights at the end of the sentence. To now read, the chief director who shall be secretary to the board without voting rights. Clause 3, subclause 3, Board of Agency, be amended by inserting the word executive after the word the and before the word chairman, and also adding the letter S to the word paragraph, and also inserting the phrase and E after the letter D before the word of. To read, the executive chairman and other members appointed under paragraphs D and E of subsection 2 shall be appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Minister subject to the approval of Parliament. Clause 4, subclause 1, tenure of members, be amended by inserting the word executive after the word the and before the word chairman, and also adding the letter S to the word paragraph and inserting an E after the letter E and before the word of to read. The executive chairman and other members appointed under paragraphs D and E of subsection 2 of section 3 shall hold office for a term of 5 years and shall be eligible for reappointment for a further term of 5 years only. Clause 5, meetings of board. Subclause 1 be amended by inserting the word executive after the word the and before the word chairman to now read. The board shall meet for the dispatch of its business at least once every month at the offices of the agency and at such time as the executive chairman may determine. Clause 5, meetings of board. Subclause 2 be amended by inserting the word executive after the word the and before the word chairman to now read. The executive chairman shall preside at every meeting of the board, and in his absence the members present shall appoint a member from among themselves to preside at that meeting. Clause 5, meetings of board. Subclause 3 be amended by replacing the number 11 with the number 13 after the word of and before the word members, and also inserting the word executive after the word the and before the word chairman to now read. A minimum of 13 members of the board may, by notice in writing signed by them, request the executive chairman to summon a special meeting of the board for such purpose as may be stated in the notice. Clause 5, meetings of board. Subclause 4 be amended by inserting the word executive after the word the and before the word chairman to now read. The executive chairman, or in his absence, the member appointed to act on his behalf, shall summon a special meeting within 5 days of his receipt of the notice referred to in subsection 3. Clause 5, meetings of board. Subclause 5 be amended by replacing the number 11 with number 8 at the end of the sentence to read, the quorum at a meeting of the board shall be 8. Clause 5, meetings of board shall be subclause 9 be amended by inserting the word executive after the word the and before the word chairman to now read. The board shall cause minutes of all its meetings to be taken and signed by the executive chairman and kept in proper form. Clause 6, disclosure of interest be approved. Clause 7, immunity of members. Side notes be amended by inserting board after the word of and before the word members, and also inserted the phrase and authorized members after the word members to read immunity of board members and authorized officers. Clause 7, immunity of board members and authorized officers. Subclause 1 be amended by inserting the phrase or any authorized officer after the word board and before the word for to read, an action or other proceeding shall not lie or be instituted against a member of the board or member of a committee of the board or any authorized officer for or in respect of an act or thing done or omitted to be done in good faith in the exercise of his functions under this act. Clause 8, committees of board be approved. Clause 9, functions of board. Side note be amended by inserting the phrase powers and before the word functions to read powers and functions of board. Clause 9, powers and functions of board be amended by inserting a new subclause 3 to read, in the discharge of its functions, the board may A, direct the executive director to furnish it with any information, report or other documents which the board considers necessary for the performance of its functions. B, give instructions to the executive director in connection with the management and performance of the functions of the agency. Clause 10, remuneration of members be approved. Clause 11, filling of vacancies. Side note of filling of two vacancies. Side note be amended by deleting the word to after the word of and before the word vacancies to read filling of vacancies. Clause 11, filling of vacancies, subclause 1 be amended by inserting the word to after the word referred and before the word in, and also inserting and in after D before the word of to read, where the chairman or a member of the board referred to in paragraph D and E of subsection 2 of section 3 dies, resigns, is removed from office, or is absent for a continuous period exceeding 3 months, or is by reason of illness unable to perform the functions of his office for a continuous period of 6 months. Clause 11, filling of vacancies, sub-clause 1b, be amended by separating person appointed after the word another and before the word to read. In the case of a member, the chairman shall subject this act. In the case of a member, the chairman shall, subject to this act, have another person appointed to the board. Part 3, functions of the agency. Clause 12, functions of agency, sub-clause 2c, be amended by separating the implementation after the word of to read. Collaborate and coordinate with such foreign and international bodies as the agency considers necessary for the purpose of the implementation of this act. Clause 12, functions of agency, sub-clause 2 be amended by inserting a new clause 2i to read, develop standards and guidelines for the importation, transportation, storage and use of all types of chemicals. Clause 12, functions of agency, previous sub-clause 2r now becomes sub-clause 2s. Clause 13, powers of agency be amended by inserting a new clause 13b to read, ensure compliance with any laid down environmental impact assessment procedures in the planning and execution of development projects, including compliance in respect of existing projects. Clause 13, powers of agency, previous clause 13b now becomes clause 13c. Clause 13, powers of agency, new sub-clause 13c, Roman figure 3 be amended by inserting environmental permit and in front of the sentence. To read, environmental permit and enforcement notice for controlling the volume, types, constituents and effects of waste discharges, emissions, deposits or other sources of pollutants and of substances which are hazardous or potentially dangerous to the environment. Clause 13, powers of agency, previous clause 13c now becomes clause 13b. Part 4, administrative provisions. Clause 14, executive director, the side note be amended to read executive chairman. Clause 14, executive chairman and sub-clause 1 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word who, and also inserting the phrase on the recommendation of the minister after the word president and before the word subject. To now read, the agency shall have an executive chairman who shall be appointed by the president on the recommendation of the minister, subject to the approval of Parliament. Clause 14, executive chairman, sub-clause 2 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word under. To now read, a person shall not be appointed executive chairman under subsection 1 unless he has. Clause 14, executive chairman, sub-clause 3 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word shall. To now read, the executive chairman shall be responsible for. Clause 15, deputy executive deputy, the side note be amended by replacing it with the phrase chief director. Clause 15, chief director, sub-clause 1 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word shall, and also replacing the word executive with the word chief. To now read, the executive chairman shall be assisted by a chief director who shall be appointed by the board on such terms and conditions as the board may determine. Clause 15, chief director, sub-clause 2 be amended by replacing the phrase deputy executive with the word chief after the word appointed and before the word director. To now read, a person shall not be appointed chief director under subsection 1 unless he has formal qualification and experience in a profession relevant or appropriate to the functions of the agency. Clause 13, other staff of agency, sub-clause 1 be amended by replacing the phrase deputy executive with the word chief after the word the and before the word director. To now read, in addition to the chief director, the board shall appoint such other staff, including a finance officer, internal audit, administrative officer, and such other additional technical and administrative staff as may be required by the efficient performance of the functions of the agency. Clause 16, other staff of agency, sub-clause 2 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word the. To now read, the board may delegate to the executive chairman the power to appoint such grade or category of staff as it may deem fit for the proper functioning of the agency. Clause 17, directorates of agency, sub-clause 1 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word may. To now read, the executive chairman may, with the approval of the board, establish such directorates as if it deemed necessary for the performance of the functions of the agency, including.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, for hesitating. Mr. Speaker, the time is 12. I therefore move the SOF to be suspended to continue on reason reserves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Deputy Chief Whip, any second to that?
I so second Mr. Speaker.
All in favor say aye. Aye. I repeat the question. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We may continue.
Clause 17, Directorates of Agencies, subclause 17(1)(f) be amended by replacing the word corroboration with the word collaboration after the word sector and therefore the word and, to now read Directorates of Public Relations and Intersectoral Collaboration and. Clause 17, Directors of Agency, subclause 1 be amended by inserting a new 17(1)(h) to read Director of Climate Change. Clause 17, Directors of Agency, be amended to insert a new subclause 2 to read, for the purposes of paragraph H of subsection 1 of section 17, the Directorate of Climate Change shall serve as the National Climate Change Secretariat. Clause 17, Directorates of Agency, previous clause 17.2 now becomes clause 17.3. Clause 17, Directorates of Agency, previous clause 17.3 now becomes clause 17.4. Clause 18, consultants and experts be approved. Clause 19, regional and district offices, subclause 3 be amended by deleting the letter A at the start of the sentence to now read, regional and district offices established under subsection 1 shall perform such functions as the board may determine. Part 5, financial provisions. Clause 20, funds of agency be approved. Clause 21, accounts and audit of agency, subclause 1 be amended by inserting a new subclause 1 to read, statement of cash flow. Clause 21, accounts and audit of agency, subclause 2 be amended by replacing the number 2 with the number 3 after the word than and before the word months to now read, the accounts of the agency kept under subsection 1 shall be not later than 3 months after the end of each financial year be audited by the Auditor General or an auditor appointed by him. Clause 22, financial year of agency be approved. Clause 23, annual report, subclause 3 be amended by deleting the words copies of after the word laid and before the word the to now read, the minister shall lay the annual report before Parliament within 2 months after he has received the report. Part 6, environmental impact assessment. Clause 24, environmental impact assessment required for certain activities. Subclause 2A be amended by replacing the number 5 with the number 2 after the word than and before the word years. To now read, a citizen of Sierra Leone to a fine not less than 50 million euros or to imprisonment for a term not less than 2 years or to both such fine and imprisonment earned. Clause 24, environmental impact assessment required for certain activities. Subclause 2B be amended by replacing the words a foreigner with the words non-citizen at the start of the sentence and by increasing the fine from 150,000 to 150 million after the word then and before the word millions, and also by replacing the number 5 with the number 3 after the word then and before the word years. So now read, non-citizen to a fine of not less than 150 million euros or to a term of imprisonment of not less than 3 years or to both such fine and imprisonment. Clause 24, environmental impact assessment required for certain activities be amended by inserting a new subclause 3 to read, a citizen who poses as contravening subsection 1 in the position as a foreigner commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not less than 150 million euros or to a term of imprisonment not less than 3 years or to both such fine and imprisonment. Clause 24, environmental impact assessment required for certain activities be amended by inserting a new subclause 4 to read: a body corporate who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a fine not less than 500 million euros. Clause 25, application for license. Subclause 2 be amended by inserting the following words: and an environmental statement on the potential impact of the project and proposed mitigation measures after the word undertaken at the end of the sentence. To now read: an application under subsection 1 shall be accompanied by a description of the project proposed to be undertaken and an environmental statement on the potential impact of the project and proposed mitigation measures. Clause 25, application for license, be amended by inserting a new subclause 3 to read: for the purposes of this act, application commences upon the receipt of a duly completed screening form. Clause 26, agency to decide on need for license, subclause 3 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman and after the word executive and before the word chairman. To now read: where decision has been taken that a license is not required in respect of a project, the executive chairman shall inform the applicant in writing. Clause 27, application to prepare environmental impact assessment. Subclause 1 be amended by inserting the word environmental after the word and before the word impact, and also deleting the word environmental after the word the and before the word project. To now read: an application shall, where a decision has been taken that a project requires a license, prepare and submit an environmental impact assessment of the project to the agency in the form set out in the third schedule. Clause 27, application to prepare environmental impact assessment. Subclause 2A be amended by replacing the words a natural person with the words an individual at the start of the sentence. To now read: an individual to a fine of not less than 50 million euros or to a term of imprisonment of not less than 2 years or to both such fine and imprisonment. And Clause 28, public comments be approved. Clause 29, executive director to submit environmental impact and comments to board. Side note be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman. Side note to now read: the executive chairman to submit environmental impact and comments to board. Clause 29, executive chairman to submit environmental impact and comments to board. Subclause 1 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman and also replacing the word assessment with the word assessment after the word the and before the word together, and also replacing the word comments with the word disclosure report after the word public and before the word to. To now read: the executive chairman shall, on receipt of public comment on an environmental impact assessment project under subsection 2 of section 28, submit the assessment together with the environmental public disclosure report to the board for its consideration. Clause 29, executive chairman to submit environmental impact and comments to board. Subclause 2 be amended by replacing the word comments with the word disclosure report after the word public and before the words if any, and also inserting the words not later than 30 working days at the end of the sentence. To now read: the board may, after considering the environmental impact and comments assessment and the public disclosure report, if any, not later than 30 working days. Clause 29, executive chairman to submit environmental impact and comment to board. Subclause 2A be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word to now read: direct the executive chairman to issue a license in such form as may be prescribed and on such terms and conditions as it considers appropriate. Clause 30, effect of license be approved. Clause 31, appeal against decision of agency be approved. Clause 32, license fee be expunged. Clause 33, cancellation, suspension or modification of license be amended to now become clause 32. New clause 32, cancellation, suspension or modification of license, subclause 1, be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word may. To now read: where the terms and conditions of a license are not complied with or have been contravened, or there is a substantial change in the operations of a project resulting in adverse effect on the environment, the executive chairman may, after consultation with the board. New clause 32, cancellation, suspension, or modification of license. Subclause 2B. Subclause 2 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word shall. To now read, the executive chairman shall notify the holder of a license which has been cancelled, suspended, or on which additional conditions have been imposed of such cancellation, suspension, or imposition of additional conditions. New clause 32, cancellation, suspension, or modification of license. Subclause 3B amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word may. To now read, the executive chairman may, in addition to cancellation, suspension, or imposition of additional conditions under subsection 1, require the holder of a license to take measures to abate adverse effect on or remedy damage to the environment. Clause 34. Effect of application on the change of ownership, control, or management be amended to now become clause 33. New clause 33, effect of application on change of ownership, control, or management. Subclause 1A be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman and after the word executive and before the word in. To now read, the previous owner and the new owner shall notify the executive chairman in writing within 14 days of the transfer of ownership, control, or management. And new clause 33, effect of application on change of ownership, control, or management. Subclause 1B be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word under. To now read, on receipt of the notice of the transfer by the executive chairman under paragraph A, the new owner shall be deemed to be the applicant for the license. New clause 33, effect of application on change of ownership, control, or management. Subclause 2A be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word of. So now read, the previous owner and the new owner shall notify the executive chairman of the transfer within 14 days of the change of ownership, control, or management. And the effect of application on change of ownership, control, or management. Subclause 2B be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word shall. So now read, on receipt of the notice of transfer under paragraph A, the executive chairman shall, subject to such condition as may be prescribed, endorse the license, and the license shall be deemed to have been transferred to the new owner upon such endorsement. Effect of application on change of ownership, control, or management. Subclause 3 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word under. So now read, a person who being the previous owner or new owner of a project fails after the transfer to notify the executive chairman under subsection 2 commits an offence and is liable on conviction in the case of clause 33. New clause 33. Effect of application on change of ownership, control, or management. Subclause 3B be amended by replacing the word the foreigner with the word non-citizen at the start of the sentence and also increasing the fine from 15,000 to 150 million and deleting the words and the license in respect of that project shall be deemed cancelled at the expiration of the 14 days period. To now read, non-citizen to a fine of not less than 150 million euros or to imprisonment for a term of not less than 12 months or to both such fine and imprisonment or. New clause 33, effect of application on change of ownership, control, of management. Be amended by inserting a new subclause C to read, for a body corporate, a fine not less than 500 million euros and the license in respect of that project shall be deemed cancelled at the expiration of the 14 days period. Clause 35, agency to monitor project be amended to now become clause 34. New clause 34.1, agency to monitor project be amended by spacing the word which licenses after the word of and before the word have, and also inserting the words or any regulation made hereunder at the end of the sentence. To now read, the agency shall monitor all projects in respect of which licenses have been issued in order to assess their effect on the environment or ascertain compliance with this act or any other regulation made hereunder. New clause 34(2), agency to monitor projects, sub-clause 2 be amended by replacing the word director with the word chairman after the word executive and before the word of, to now read, in the exercise of his powers under subsection 1, the executive chairman or authorized officer may. New clause 34(3), agency to monitor projects be amended by replacing the phrase executive director after the word the and before the word or with the phrase executive chairman. Clause 36, duties of owners of projects be amended to now become clause 35. New clause 35, 1b, duties of owners of projects be amended by replacing the phrase executive director after the word the and before the word or with the phrase executive chairman. New clause 35, duties of owners of projects, subclause 2b. Subclause 2 be amended by increasing the fines from 25 million to 50 million and 2 million to 5 million to read. The owner of a project who fails to give full access to the project premises, vessel, vehicle, or facility as required under paragraph A or subsection 1 commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a fine not less than 50 million euros or to imprisonment for a term of not less than 12 months or to both fine and imprisonment, and in the case of accounting offence to a further fine of not less than 5 million euros for each day on which the offence continues. New clause 35, duties of owners of projects, subclause 3a be amended by replacing the words a natural person with the words an individual at the start of the sentence and replacing 5 years with 12 months after the word then and before the word and to now read an individual to a fine of not less than 50 million euros or imprisonment for a term of not less than 12 months. And part 7, chemicals, toxic and hazardous substances. Clause 37, toxic and hazardous substances prohibited, be amended to now become clause 36. New clause 36, toxic and hazardous substances prohibited, subclause 5a, be amended by replacing the words natural person with the words an individual at the beginning of the sentence. So now read, an individual to a fine not less than 250 million euros or to imprisonment for a term not less than 10 years. New clause 36, toxic and hazardous substances prohibited, subclause 5b, be amended by increasing the fine from 750 million to 1 billion to now read body corporate to a fine not less than 1 billion euros. Clause 38, importation of refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. with chlorofluorocarbons prohibited, be amended to now become clause 37. New clause 37, importation of refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. with chlorofluorocarbons prohibited. Subclause 1b, be amended by deleting the word and at the end of the sentence. So now read, vehicles fitted with air conditioner or refrigerator unit unless the cooling unit of the vehicle is fitted with a chlorofluorocarbon-free coolant. New clause 37, importation of refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. with chlorofluorocarbons prohibited. Subclause 1c, be amended by adding the word and at the end of the sentence to now read, halon for firefighting and. New clause 37, importation of refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. with chlorofluorocarbons prohibited, be amended by expunging clause 37, subclause 2. Clause 39, the use of chlorofluorocarbon 11 and 12 as growing agents for refrigerants prohibited, be amended to now become clause 38. New clause 38, the use of chlorofluorocarbons 11 and 12 as growing agents for refrigerants prohibited, be amended by separating the word refrigerant equipment to be refrigerant equipment at the end of the paragraph. Clause 40, venting of controlled substance or product into atmosphere prohibited, be amended to now become clause 39. Clause 39, new clause 39, venting of controlled substance or product into atmosphere prohibited. Subclause 1, be amended by inserting the word or after the word substance and before the word controlled, and inserting the word product after the word controlled and before the word vent, and also deleting the word or after the word controlled and before the word product and deleting the other product after the first product and before the word into. To now read, a person shall not, while installing, servicing, repairing or operating an equipment or product that contains or depends on controlled substance or controlled product vent the controlled substance or controlled product into the atmosphere. New clause 39, venting of controlled substance or product into atmosphere prohibited. Subclause 2 be amended by increasing the fine from 4 million to 5 million and reducing the term of imprisonment from 12 months to 6 months. To now read, a person who vents a controlled substance into the atmosphere in contravention of subsection 1 commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a fine not less than 5 million euros or to imprisonment for a term not less than 6 months or to both such fine and imprisonment. Clause 41, import and export of controlled substances or products restricted, be amended to now become clause 40. New clause 40, import and export of controlled substances or products restricted. Subclause 1 be amended by deleting the word controlled after the word authority and before the word of. To now read, a person shall not import or export a controlled substance or product specified in the fourth schedule unless on the authority of a permit issued by the agency for the purpose. New clause 40, import and export of controlled substances or products restricted. Subclause 2 be amended by inserting the letter A after the word export and before the word restricted, and deleting the letter A after the word restricted and before the word controlled, and also inserting the words and treaties after the word protocol at the end of the sentence. To now read, subject to subsection 1, a person shall not import or export a restricted, controlled substance or controlled product from or to a country that is not a party to the protocol and treaty. Clause 42, forfeiture of imported or exported controlled substances products, be amended to now become clause 41. New clause 41, forfeiture of imported or exported controlled substance products, be approved. Clause 43, application for permit, be amended to now become clause 42. New clause 42, application for permit, be approved. Clause 44, agency to issue permit, etc., be amended to now become clause 43. New clause 43, agency to issue permit, etc., subclause 5, be amended by inserting subclauses A, B, and C to read, a permit to import or export a controlled substance or controlled product shall A, not be transferable, B, entitle the holder to only import or export a controlled substance or controlled product specified in the permit only through authorized custom ports of entry and exit, and C, expires on the 31st day of December of the year of issue, and all imports related to the permit shall arrive at the port of entry in Sierra Leone not later than 31st day of December of that year. New clause 43, agency to issue permits, etc. Subclause 6 be amended by inserting the words of controlled products after the word substances and before the word imported. To now read, a person who imports or exports a controlled substance or controlled product shall provide a copy of the permit, the bill of lading, and invoice to the authorized officer of the agency, who shall certify the quantity of the controlled substances or controlled products imported or exported at the port or entry. New clause 43. 44 agents. New clause 43. 44 agency to issue permit, etc. Subclause 7a be amended by replacing the words natural person with the words an individual at the beginning of the sentence, and by reducing the term of imprisonment from 5 years to 3 years. To now read, an individual to a fine of not less than 50 million euros or to imprisonment for a term not less than 3 years. And new clause 44, agency to issue permit, etc. Subclause 7b to be amended by increasing the fine from 100 million to 500 million. To now read, body corporate to a fine not less than 500 million euros. Clause 45, customs verification of goods, be amended to now become clause 44. New clause 44, custom verification of goods be approved. Clause 46, clause 46, agency to maintain register of importers and exporters be amended to now become clause 45. New clause 45, agency to maintain register of importers and exporters be approved. Clause 47, importers and exporters to keep records of supplies be amended to now become clause 46. New clause 46, importers and importers to keep records of supplies be approved. Clause 48, storage of controlled substances or controlled products be amended to now become clause 47. New clause 47, storage of controlled substances or controlled products, sub-clause 3 to be amended by deleting the word under after the word products and before the word in to now read, a person who stores controlled substances or controlled products in contravention of the guidelines issued by the agency under subsection 2 commits an offense and is liable on conviction in the case of. New clause 47, storage of controlled substances or controlled products, sub-clause 3a to be amended by replacing the words a natural person with the words an individual at the beginning of the sentence, and also reducing the term of imprisonment from 5 years to 3 years. To now read, an individual to a fine of not less than 50 million euros or to imprisonment for a term not less than 3 years. And new clause 47, storage of controlled substances or controlled products, sub-clause 3b to be amended by increasing the fine from 100 million to 500 million euros to now read, a body corporate to a fine not less than 500 million euros. Part 8, climate change secretariat to be amended by deleting the whole of Part 8 from clause 49 to clause 52. Part 9, authorized officer, analysis and record to be amended to now become Part 8. New Part 8, authorized officer, analysis and record. Clause 53, powers of authorized officer to be amended to now become clause 48. New clause 48, powers of authorized officer, sub-clause 1e, 2, be amended by replacing the phrase executive director after the word the and before the word may with the phrase executive chairman. New clause 48, powers of authorized officer, 1f, be amended by replacing the phrase executive director after the word the and before the word issue with the phrase executive chairman. New clause 48, powers of authorized officer, sub-clause 3g, to be amended by deleting the word or at the end of the sentence. New clause 48, powers of authorized officer, sub-clause 3h, to be amended by deleting the words under subsection 1 and replacing it with the word and after the word offense and before the word is. To now read, fails to carry out an improvement notice issued by an authorized officer under paragraph F of subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable on conviction in the case of. New clause 48, powers of authorized officer, sub-clause 3g, 1, to be amended by replacing the words a natural person with the words an individual. To now read, an individual to a fine of not less than 10 million euros or to imprisonment for a term of not less than 2 years. And new clause 48, powers of authorized officer, sub-clause 3h, to be amended by inserting a new sub-clause 3h, 3, to read, a person who commits an offense under section 48 for which no penalty is expressly provided is liable on conviction. Clause 54, designation of analytical and reference laboratories to be amended to now become clause 49. New clause 49, designation of analytical and reference laboratories to be approved. Clause 55, designation of analytical and reference analysts to be amended to now become clause 50. New clause 50, designation of analytical and reference analysts to be approved. Clause 56, procedure for taking samples for analysis to be amended to now become clause 51. New clause 51, procedure for taking samples for analysis to be approved. Clause 57, certificate of analysis and its effect to be amended to now become clause 52. New clause 52, certificate of analysis and its effect to be approved. Clause 58, records to be kept to be amended to now become clause 53. New clause 53, records to be kept, sub-clause 3a, to be amended by replacing the words a natural person with the words an individual, and also inserting the words or to such fine and imprisonment after the word years and before the word and to now read an individual to a fine of not less than 50 million leons or to imprisonment for a term of not less than 2 years or to such fine and imprisonment and. New clause 53, records to be kept. Subclause 3b to be amended by increasing the fine from 100 million leons to 250 million leons to now read a body corporate to a fine of not less than 250 million leons. Part 10, information, education and public awareness to be amended to now become Part 9. New Part 9, information, education and public awareness to be approved. Clause 59, freedom of access to information to be amended to now become Clause 54. New Clause 54, freedom of access to information to be approved. Clause 60, gathering, analysis and management of information to be amended to now become Clause 55. New Clause 55, gathering, analysis and management of information. Subclause 3 to be amended by replacing the word state with the word countries after the word other at the end of the paragraph. So now read, the agency shall determine deficiencies in existing environment information and exchange information with other persons, including international organizations, non-governmental organizations, and governmental agencies of other countries. Clause 61, environment education in learning institutions to be amended to now become Clause 56. New Clause 56, environment education in learning institutions to be approved. Part 11, judicial proceedings to be amended to now become Part 10. New Part 10, judicial proceedings to be approved. Clause 62, institution of criminal proceedings to be amended to now become Clause 57. New Clause 57, institution of criminal proceedings be approved. Clause 63, institution of civil proceedings to be amended to now become Clause 58. New Clause 58, institution of civil proceedings to be approved. Clause 64, enforcement notice to be amended to now become Clause 59. New Clause 59, enforcement notice, side note to be amended by inserting power of the agency relating to before the word enforcement at the beginning. Side note to now read power of the agency relating to enforcement notice. New Clause 59, power of the agency relating to enforcement notice. Subclause 4, to be amended by inserting the words commit an offense and after the number 2 and before the word is to now read. A person who fails to comply with an enforcement notice served on him under subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable to a fine of not less than 250 million euros. Clause 65, immunity of officers to be expunged. Clause 66, liability of bodies, corporate, etc. to be amended to now become Clause 60. New Clause 60, liability of bodies, corporate, etc. Subclause 3 to be amended by inserting the word or after the word him and before the word on to now read. The person is personally liable for an offense under this act, whether committed by him or on his own account or as an agent or servant of another person. Clause 67, forfeiture, cancellation, etc. to be amended to now become Clause 61. New Clause 61, forfeiture, cancellation, etc. Subclause 4 to be amended by adding the letter S to the word restore after the word person and before the word D to now read. The court may also issue an order requiring that the convicted person restores the environment to its original state at his own cost. Clause 68, effect of conviction to be amended to now become Clause 62. New Clause 62, effect of conviction to be approved. Clause 69, financial security to be amended to now become Clause 63. New Clause 63, financial security to be approved. Part 11, judicial proceedings to be amended to now become Part 10 and approved after renumbering. Part 12, Environment Coordination Committee to be amended to now become Part 11 and be approved after renumbering and replacing the phrase Executive Director with the phrase Executive Chairman wherever it appears in this part. Part 13, Miscellaneous Provisions to be amended to now become Part 12 and be approved after renumbering and replacing the phrase Executive Director with the phrase Executive Chairman wherever it appears in this part. The first to the fifth schedules to be approved. Conclusion. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, the Legislative Committee having scrutinized the bill entitled the Environment Protection Agency Act 2021, recommend these proposals to the House for approval. The report reflects the consensus of honorable members of the committee. I therefore move that these amendments, the House pass this bill entitled, I therefore move that with these amendments, the House pass this bill entitled the Environment Protection Agency Act 2021 through committee stage, third reading and into law. Thank you for your attention. Signed, Honorable Abdul Suliaman Marah-Conteh, Chairman of the